Today, we're diving into a really weird feature of the human mind. Why we so often turn down a better option, even when we know, logically, that it's better.
I mean, think about it for a second. Have you ever kept paying for a gym membership you never use? Or just kept grinding away on a project long after a much easier, smarter way popped up? Yeah, if that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. And this isn't some personal quirk. It's a fundamental, hardwired part of how we all make decisions.
You see, this isn't about a lack of logic or some kind of character flaw. Nope. It's a deep-seated psychological principle called goal commitment. And what's wild is that new research shows the simple act of starting something completely changes how our brain sees the world. It literally makes us blind to better alternatives that are staring us right in the face. And that brings us right to our first big idea, something we'll call the commitment trap. This image just nails the whole problem, doesn't it? The moment we commit to a path, whether it's a new diet, a job, or even just watching a bad movie, our brain's priorities do a complete 180. It stops searching for the best possible path and instead goes into defense mode for the one we're already on. It's like we put on a pair of mental blinders, and that shiny, faster, better road right next to us, we don't even see it. So what is actually going on inside our heads when this happens? Well, it's a powerful phenomenon known as cognitive tunnel vision. Now, this idea originally comes from really high-stakes fields, where people's lives are on the line, and they have to stay aware of everything. And what it means is you get so laser-focused on one single goal that you become totally oblivious to all the other important stuff happening in your periphery. And the more important that goal feels, the narrower your focus gets. But here's the thing. You don't have to be a firefighter to experience this. It happens to us every single day. In a way, we're actually wired for it. I mean, think about our ancestors. The ones who stayed locked in on a single hunt were way more likely to eat than the ones who kept getting distracted by new targets. Persistence was a survival skill. But in our modern world, that same survival instinct can trap us with a terrible phone plan or a workout routine that's just not getting results. The mental machinery is exactly the same. This illustration shows that mental shift just perfectly. Before we start something, our commitment dial is kind of set to never. We're open to anything. But as we start putting in the time and effort, that dial gets cranked, bit by bit, all the way over to now. And that locks in our focus, filtering out any information that might suggest we should, change course. So how can you spot this happening in real time? Well, ask yourself these questions. Are you getting super irritated when someone even suggests a different way of doing things? Are you absolutely refusing to change the plan, even when it's obvious it's not working? Are you waving off offers for help? These are all major red flags that your tunnel vision has kicked in. But it's not just about focus. There's another incredibly powerful force at play here, and this one is all about what we've already put in. We are talking about the sunk cost mindset. I love this slide because it shows the internal tug of war so clearly. It's like you've got two voices fighting it out in your head. The voice of consistency is loyal to your past self. It's screaming, we have to follow through. If we quit now, all that time and effort was for nothing. But then there's the voice of adaptation, looking at the new, better information and saying, hey, there's a smarter way to do this. We should probably switch. And guess which voice usually wins that argument? And the more we invest, the louder that voice of consistency gets. It's like we're climbing this commitment ladder. We start at the bottom with, why bother? Then we move up to going through the motions. And finally, we reach the top rung of actually trying. And every single step we take up that ladder makes it psychologically harder and harder to climb back down and pick a different ladder, even if that other one clearly leads to a much better place. Okay, so we've got our own tunnel vision and our sunk costs working against us from the inside. But what about from the outside? Well, it turns out that marketers are absolute experts at using these biases to build walls around the choices we make. Companies have pretty much mastered this. They use all these loyalty tactics that are specifically designed to get us on that commitment ladder and then just keep us climbing. A welcome bonus gets our foot in the door. Gamification with things like streaks and progress bars makes us feel personally invested. Tiered memberships give us a sense of status that we don't want to lose. The whole point is to create switching costs, making it feel so expensive, either financially or emotionally, to even think about leaving. The Duolingo streak is just the perfect modern example of this. That little flame icon isn't just a number, it represents your commitment, your dedication. So losing it feels like a genuine personal failure.
It's a threat to your very identity as a person who sticks with things. The app has brilliantly merged its own goal with your self-image, and that makes it incredibly painful to quit, even if a better, faster language app comes along. So, are we just doomed? Trapped by our own psychology and a bunch of clever marketing tricks? Not at all. The good news is there are some mental tools we can use to basically build ourselves an escape plan. And here's the key. You have to completely reframe the problem. Asking yourself, should I continue, is a loaded question. It's already biased towards saying yes because of all the stuff we just talked about. The real solution is to stop asking that question and start asking some different, much smarter ones. All right, tool number 1 is called goal factoring. Instead of focusing on the task itself, you focus on the why. First, you break your goal down into all of its real parts. What are the actual benefits you're trying to get? Then you use what I call the magic button test. If you could push a button and get every single one of those benefits without using your current method, would you push it? If the answer is a quick yes, then it's time to start brainstorming some other, better ways to get there. Tool number 2 is like a zero-based audit for your life, and it's inspired by some great questions from the scientist Richard Hamming. You just have to ask yourself, flat out, if I were starting completely fresh today with zero history, is this the path I would choose? This question is amazing because it mentally wipes the slate clean. It erases your sunk costs and lets you look at the decision with totally fresh eyes. So at the end of the day, here's the most important takeaway. Commitment itself is not the enemy. It's actually a superpower. It helps us filter out distractions and do amazing things. The real danger is blind commitment. So the solution is to build a simple habit of checking in with yourself. Just periodically step off the path, take off the mental blinders for a minute, and ask that one simple, powerful question. Am I on this road because it's the best one, or am I on it just because it's the one where I started? The next time you feel stuck, remember you have the power to step back, zoom out, and ask a better question. Thanks for tuning in. Hey, if this breakdown was helpful and you want more like it, make sure you subscribe. We're all about leveling up your brain here at the NoteMan.